welcome to the first moment of Ibeu Online training. And as always, we're going to start with a warm-up. So I'm asking you guys to write everything you know about Ibeu Online, right, for the first column. And the second column, everything you would like to know. And hopefully the third column will be, filled out as the session goes on and when you talk to the other people in this room, right? Guys, and my next question to you, how many levels are there in Ibeu Online? 4. Do you know which ones they are? And if you think in terms of correspondence with a common European framework, for example, A1, engage would be A2, explore B1, and expand B2 according to the common European framework. What about the materials? Are you familiar with Play Online? It looks like TDI for those of you who have taken any TDI course. Longman English Interactive. This is the material that they use online. They have, the platform and, study plans and all the units and things they have already done and what they are going to do, and they're great for that. You can show the next slide here. And an example of, a screenshot of what they could see. There are listening exercises, videos, language exercises. They check their answers so the platform corrects a lot of stuff, right? But they have a tutor, right? And Ellie here, for instance, is a tutor. So could you tell them a little bit about the role of the tutor in the online classes?
Well, we welcome students once they enroll in a course, and we normally introduce them to the platform, teach them how to use, and how to schedule conversation classes. We have videos now which are pretty cool, but some students need more help, so we may have a one-to-one class to, let them know
the orientation class,
work.
right?
Yeah, there is a first class just for that. And then we kind of follow the students' work. We check what they've been doing, their grades, if they are using the platform regularly. If not, we get in touch with them, rescue them, bring them back, correct their compositions, kind of motivate them too, because learning online is difficult. If the person is not very organized or self-disciplined, it's kind of difficult. So having a tutor is good, just to help you check the schedule. They have a limit of 6 months to finish the course, and sometimes they don't go online for a long time. They travel.
You always work with the same student?
Until they finish the course.
So there are 2 different jobs for you. One is to be a tutor and the other one is to teach a conversation class, right? And what do you know about the material for the conversation classes? And how many classes do you have per level? Any idea?
15.
15 per level. There are 4 levels, right? They're already prepared for you. What is prepared for you?
The lesson plan?
Yeah, the lesson plan
And the class itself.
And the
a
class.
PowerPoint presentation. So everything's prepared for you. Of course, you have room, there's flexibility for you to adapt to the lesson plan when necessary, but you receive the lesson plan and the classes, everything ready for you. I'm going to show you some examples. I'll show you an expand class, and can you have an idea of what the class looks like? And can you spot any of our principles just looking at the PowerPoint presentation? Right?
Try to think of how it would be different, like in the classroom and online. How would this, applying this principle, how would it be different?
So this is the high thing is where the teacher puts his picture. So you're going to see the picture. It's personalized for the teacher as well. And then the class begins. Anything similar to our classes here? Yeah, we have a warm-up in online classes, just like in our classes and our agenda. Don't we sometimes provide an agenda for students to have an idea of what they're going to see in class? So we also have an agenda here. We go back to the agenda at the end, so they make sure they see what they have learned, learned,
And see
right?
that they actually have learned something in that class.
There is a
Something
plus
new.
one, right?
Yes.
So you mentioned the warm-up. Anything else here? I would like to show you the lesson plan just so you can have an idea of it. So there you're going to see the aims of the class to enable students to say what they have in common, discuss characteristics of good parents, give compliments, all the language points they're going to study or review. Depending on where they are, they may have done this lesson already or maybe not, but then, they're going to have an opportunity to practice this in the conversation class. So all the language points, the materials you are going to need as a teacher, right? So this is the name of the
And
PowerPoint.
this is very important, the before the session, right? All the instructions for you. See where you should insert your picture, there's the link, yes. And this is also very important. Create your subrooms. This is how you can have different patterns of interaction. If you have more than 2 or 3 students, if you have 4, you can separate them into different rooms so they can have their pair work. Right, so here you're going to have all the instructions for you. And the tips.
Like this is the 8th lesson of the 4th module. So if you know there are 15 lessons, say they are
Where they are. Because it's
If
important. If
they
they are
are at
activated,
course.
it's their first conversation class ever. It's very different than if it's the 15th class. Right? So it's important for you to know as well.
and you have timing for all the stages of the
Yes.
lesson, the introduction from greeting students to agenda and warm-up. So keep track of the time because you have only 40 minutes, so you have to control that, pay attention to that. 40 minutes is not much, so don't
Yes.
get carried away with a 20-minute warm-up, or you will not have time to get to the end of the class, right? So there are suggestions of time for you to teach the core of the lesson, for you to end, to thank them and leave, blah, blah, blah. So everything is very detailed, so you know exactly what to do, right?
So looking at some of the lessons, Patty and I were watching the teachers, we saw some of the classes, and we thought of some do's and don'ts, what you should do, what you shouldn't do when you're teaching an online class, and we would like to give you these tips right now. So first of all, do turn on your camera, because students like to see you. It's important that they see you, that they know you. It's more friendly for students. They might not turn on their cameras. Maybe Danny said the other day the guy he parked his car, had a lesson in the middle of the parking lot, and he was using his cell phone, so he couldn't turn on his camera because the connection wouldn't, allow that.
Can I interject?
But he saw me anyway, and I think this is important because they see our reactions too.
Yes.
So we're always smiling and being friendly.
But of course, it might happen to you as well, and your connection might not be good, and then you might have to turn it off. Start the class on time, just like we do here at Ibeu in our regular classes. You should do it there. Or sometimes you are going to be there on time, there are going to be no students, but when the first student arrives, start the class. Classes last 40 minutes. you might take it up to 45, right, maximum. Okay, start and finish on time. And then you integrate the latecomers. When they arrive, do as you would do in class. You know, ask the other student to explain what you were doing, to help the other. You have the warm-up, which is the time they might be coming in. Choose a quiet environment to teach your classes. Students will be listening and seeing everything around you. Sometimes, yeah, so the cat, the dog, you know, if you have a pet, a bird, you know, try to be away from your pet, close the door.
Even the window, if your window is open, what's going on
Cars,
outside?
trucks,
Yes.
boats.
Exactly, so try to be in a quiet environment. Pay attention to our surroundings, make sure the closet is not open, there isn't a bra hanging, underwear around, you know, or anything weird. Pay attention to your appearance as well. Don't just wake up and go. It's not because you're teaching from home that you can be on your pajamas, you know,
Not brushing your hair.
not brushing your hair,
It's not
looking
a
like
test.
yesterday.
You can wear a mask, so make sure
Yes.
whatever you can see is, you know, decent, appropriate.
Rests of makeup from the yesterday's party. Be patient with your students. More than you already are in a regular class. It's online, sometimes they're dealing with technology as well. Sometimes they don't understand, there might be a delay or something, they don't know how it works. So be patient. Give them think time. Follow the lesson plan. Of course, you might have a student who has taken that same lesson 4 times. But there will be other students who have never seen that lesson. So you will have to follow the lesson plan. That student knows it's not his first time there. He knows he has taken 60 classes. So he knows it's repeated. But the others don't. But if you only have this very student who has already taken that lesson 4 times, it's okay for you to do something else with that student, but only if he's alone in class. Write down students' mistakes, address them later. Remember that warm-up's not a moment for you to be correcting students on the spot, and sometimes students are producing a dialogue or something. Don't keep interrupting them all the time, but do address their mistakes. But do that later. Feedback. Like you are monitoring in class and then you give feedback, same as online. Encourage self and peer correction, not you all the time correcting students. Let them help each other as well. And give students feedback, share useful links if you think of something that would help them, to share with students.
And what about the don'ts? What would you say some don'ts are? Having seen all that so far, what would you say the teacher should not do in an online class? So what we thought of was, don't wait for latecomers to start. Remember, just like our classes start on time. Of course, you're going to welcome those who arrive late, but you're not going to be, chit-chatting for 10 minutes for them to arrive. Don't forget to have 40 minutes only, right? This seems to be obvious, but, please don't divide your attention with anything else during class time, right? If your cell phone or phone rings, please, it's supposed to be off during, class. Don't talk to people at home or,
Facebook.
Facebook, don't check your personal messages or anything during the class.
The noise of the messages coming in.
Please don't act mechanically. Of course, there is flexibility, right? We have a lesson plan, you have a class, but you can always adapt. As Beth said, sometimes the student has already attended the class, so there's room for some flexibility. You notice something's not working so well, you can propose some change, but you have, a script to follow to give you guidelines, right? mentioned this already, but the warm stage is not the moment to correct, just like in our real classes. So first make sure they have the language to do the task, right? Elicit, model if necessary, when you're not going to correct during the warm, okay? You also mentioned that, don't interrupt them when they're talking because they might get shy and they'll stop speaking, and we don't want that. And please keep track of time because it's only 40 minutes, so you cannot waste much time. So far, so good?
No.
Guys, based on all that, we thought of best practices. You know, we attended a lot of virtual classes by different teachers to collect good practices to share with you. Don't underuse the chat box. It has such a, you know, it's like a blackboard, such a powerful tool for you to record so many things, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, new language, to praise students, right? Give students the task. Let them read the slides, not to do
Let them ask each other the questions.
Help correct each other.